Welcome back to the Fantasy Trading Room, hosted by Faceoff Sports Network. Today, we have a very special guest. Thank you so much for coming on, D-Bro. I really appreciate it. How's it going, man?
Doing good, dude. We've been trying to set this up for a while. Sorry, my busy schedule has led us, not led us astray because we're here, but push things back. But I mean, look, this is a great time to be talking all things dynasty and rookies and stuff. The NFL draft is in the rear view. People have had time to kind of let the ADP simmer and how they feel about players, man. So I'm excited to get into it, dude. Think we're gonna have a lot of fun drafting tonight. So anybody that's not familiar with the rookie mock draft simulator over on Fantasy Pros, I mean, that's what we're gonna be using. So you could toggle between dynasty. Obviously, we have rookies pulled up. We're gonna go 4 rounds, and the way that you choose this bad boy or shade it to super flexes, you could change positional values. So yeah, let's without further ado, man, let's kick it off. And just going to randomize the old draft position and see where it goes. All right, 12th we are. Dude, that was an interesting first round. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome, everybody kind of goes. Jayden Daniels falling to the 6th. Before, I know we've got a little bit of time here. What do you think about this, how this first round laid out, man?
Is Caleb at 5? Wow.
Yep, Caleb at
Personally,
5.
yeah. Personally,
Which
Caleb
that's,
is my 101, but I know you don't feel
yep.
the same way, so I'll let you talk about that more if you want, because I know you're a big
Yeah,
Jaden
man.
Daniels guy.
I got Jayden Daniels as my 101, and I just think this year in rookie drafts, it's really it's a combination of a lot of things. I look at it and I say, okay, really with this, there's so many ways to go in Superflex drafts, and this is so team specific, So looking at it, it's like if your quarterback room is set, you're gravy, man. Like you're not having to worry about going quarterback early. Like so you could take these elite wide receivers and stuff. So really, I think at the very tip top of the board, you can make the case for Caleb. You can, and I've been in a lot of rookie drafts, and I'm not going to speak for you, Steve, but like, have you been in a lot of rookie drafts where also Marvin Harrison Jr. is going at the 101? Because I've seen that, and then it's kind of like stuff just gets thrown haywire. But has that happened in one of your drafts yet?
Yeah, Marv is definitely right there. I personally have him in that like top tier of guys. Jaden Daniels is my
Mm-hmm.
3, but I have Caleb at 1 and Marv at 2, both in tier 1. So it really you can go either way depending on. Obviously, you want to go talent over everything a lot of times in rookie drafts, but depending on your situation, I mean, you say you want to trade back and get the value, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily going to be able to happen in every single draft. So I don't mind taking Marv at the 101 if you really want a wide receiver or just think he's the better talent.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the wild thing off the board, which we have to discuss, is Brian Thomas Jr. going at the 104. You're not going to see that very often. You will see some wildness in rookie drafts. Xavier Worthy goes to the 107. JJ falls all the way to the 108. Bowers has been falling down the board a little bit, but not really surprised by the rest of this first round. So since we're on the clock here, man, who would be your pick right here? Because I kind of got a guy that I really love here, but I'm curious, we haven't talked about any of these rookies coming into this show, so where do you sit on this pick?
Now, personally, it looks like Ladd, Keon, Benson, and Ricky are like the top 4 suggested.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Worthy, did he go off the board already? Or is
He
he
did.
still
He
there?
went
He
at
at
the
the
107.
107?
Yep.
Yeah. I would take Ladd McConkey here. I think he's pretty close with Keon Coleman. Jonathan Brooks. Benson is at like the end of that tier for me. Possibly Penix, but I think it's between Ladd and Keon for me. I think Ladd just has the better prospect profile. I like him a
Mm-hmm.
lot more in PPR leagues. I think he just projects well to be that slot type player that can also play on the outside. So I don't think he's a one trick pony. I think he's very legit. Doesn't have the best stats, but neither does Keon Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
Ladd is a guy that just looks great on film. So that's where my head's at. Also, good landing spot, hopefully, as long as the Chargers don't commit crazy run heavy. I know they are going to be, more so now than ever, but Justin Herbert's still crazy talented where when he does get opportunities, he's going to get the ball at an efficient clip.
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. My 2v2, or at least my choice here right now, it personally would be Vlad versus going Vlad versus Ricky Pearsall. But the thing about Ricky Pearsall is fallen on the board. You can consistently get him with, in the middle of the second round a lot of times. Like I've drafted him a ton at 204, 203, where after you get past this pretty much cemented like top 9, top 10 of Superflex rookie drafts, then it's like you get this long tier of like wide receivers and what do people think, and they're just going to pick their guys, like we got Xavier Legette's, the Keon Coleman's, the Lads of the world and stuff. So personally, I'm with you. I think we just go Lad here and see who falls after that. So let's go ahead and take Lad and, yeah, figure out what happens in the rest of this second round here, dude. Bo Nix kind of goes where I've been seeing him. And have you seen Bo Nix go a lot later than this, like at the 201? Like I've seen him go a lot at the top of the second round. But what have you seen in your draft, Steve?
Yeah, I've seen him go anywhere from the 201 to 204 normally, and he's a big target for me. Personally, I have him as my 8th ranked overall player just because of that super flex value, and he's going to be a starting quarterback. I think just the fact that all these other 5 quarterbacks going so high has kind of overshadowed him. But if you take a step back, I mean, he's a quarterback that's going to start on day one. It's a decent situation. You have a good head coach that's known for being able to get the most out of his quarterbacks, and he's a 12th overall pick. So day one starter, I don't really know. It's kind of hard to pass up on him if you're just trying to get the most value possible, or just you need a quarterback too in a super flex league.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm much lower on Bo Nix. Like if people are drafting off of my ranks, and I don't disagree with anything that you laid out, Steve. And I understand people taking him at the beginning of the second round. Where I kind of push back, and the reason I have him lower is I just have a hard time believing that Bo Nix is going to be a difference maker, even in Superflex formats. Like the way that I look at Bo Nix is, if he's Kenny Pickett or he's Mac Jones, is it really moving the needle for you? Like if he gives you QB 15 to QB 20 production for as long as he's a starter in Denver, like if he doesn't hit that QB1 territory, is he moving the needle that much versus some of these other wide receivers that you can get at the beginning of the second round? But that's kind of where I sit on Nix, and why people are drafting off my ranks in Superflex. They're not going to get a lot of him, but I don't want to commandeer the show here because, again, you're having me as a guest. But, dude, you're going to have to give me a really, really good case to not freaking take Marshawn Lloyd at the 212. Can you give me a good case not to take him, considering the rest of the players on the board, like with Corum, Jalen Wright, Malachi Corley, all these other guys? Like, to me, it's a 2-pack. It's Marshawn Lloyd versus Ben Sinnott. Is kind of where I'm at. Now, assuming this is not tight end premium, which it's not, then I've seen Ben Sinnott fall. Now, does he fall to the 312 for us? Probably. I mean, probably not. But I'm really hard pressed not to take Marshawn Lloyd here. But again, Steve, where do you sit on Marshawn Lloyd?
So there's a few things I want to point out. One, I like Ben Sinnott. Also, I think that, like you said, we could I like him, but it doesn't make too much sense to take him here just based on like the ADP and the value as well. I think if this was a real rookie draft and you really want to get Ben Sinnott, you want a tight end, you trade back here, but obviously that's not going to be the case right now.
Mm-hmm.
I am also really big fan of Jalen McMillan. I don't really – this is a different discussion, but I just want to throw it out there. He's probably a guy that I am very, very – I'm really high on him compared to consensus. But I know that just based on value that he's probably going to be available in the third round. So for me, it is between Marshawn Lloyd and Jalen Wright. And I do agree with you. I have Lloyd one spot higher. I was kind of spooked coming out of the draft, knowing like the Josh Jacobs contract. But after looking a little more, I did realize like people were saying it was essentially a 1 year with incentives. And I was like, well, that's a great point because Josh Jacobs I've never been a massive fan of him. I know he had that big year, 2 years ago? But it seems like the Packers, if the Packers really wanted to commit 2 years to him, they would have gave him, that guaranteed money throughout his full contract. So I think there's a real shot that he gets to be that starting back, and that's going to be – he has the great skill set, and he has the ability to become a 3-down back. So I can't argue anything you said against that. I mean – if you're high on Marshawn Lloyd, I agree with you as well.
Yeah, Lloyd has been my RB1 of the entire process. Now, considering after the NFL draft and landing spots and things like that, Jonathan Brooks did overtake him as my RB1, but Lloyd's my RB2. And for the reasons you said, man, like I was out there talking about this too. It's like Josh Jacobs, the Green Bay Packers can cut him after this season. Now, yes, they would absorb a 9.3 million dead cap hit, but if they were to wait after June 1st and they were to cut him, the savings against the cap, or at least the dead cap hit they would absorb, would be much, much less. So if Jacobs was, depending on any tackle breaking metric that you pull up, was legitimately bad last year. And so for me, I look at it like, okay, well, is that because he was dealing with injuries? Is that because not really until the quad injury that knocked him out towards the end of the season. So it's kind of like, well, I mean, the volume, you could easily say, took a toll. You know, that one season where he was just a league winner, he was a monster, he was amazing. He hasn't been the same player since then. And we've seen that from numerous running backs. Like when they absorb these massive volume seasons, unless your name is Derrick Henry, all these guys, like a lot of these guys fall off the cliff after the fact. And we've seen this with Jacobs. So I'm not getting pushed off of Marshawn Lloyd, man. He was my RB1 coming into the process after the draft capital, after the landing spots. He's only fallen to my RB2. I've taken him everywhere that I possibly can. I'm willing to take him at the top of the second round. So to get him at the 212, man, yeah, like somebody's going to have to make a really damn good case to push me off of him. So I'm with you. I'm going to press the draft button here. Let's see how this third round shakes out. Who have you been garnering a lot in your third rounds, dude? Like, who you really... Because McMillan, I see he goes off the board, so I know that kind of hurt. Ben Sinnott goes off the board. My dude, Luke McCaffrey, goes off the board at the 308. And Javon Baker? Like, what? Damn, man. This was just pain train for this round. But who have been your big targets in the third round?
Yeah, it's tough. A lot of the guys I like just got taken. I like Spencer Rattler as well. Did he get taken as well?
Yeah, he went to 305. Yep.
Yeah, that sucks. I've been getting a lot of Spencer Rattler, Jalen McMillan, my guy, so it sucks. Because normally I'm picking around, I mean, if I'm picking around like the 305 to like 308, I'm able to get a lot of Jalen McMillan. Love him as a prospect. I think he was super great. I can just touch on him real quick. People aren't looking back to his 2022 season. If a lot of people don't know, he put up a 79, 1.1 thousand, 9 touchdown season with Michael Penix before last year. And he was the clear number 2 over Jalen Polk. I watched basically all the Washington games. I'm a big fan of them and Penix. So he just clearly wasn't 100% watching the film until the college football playoffs when he got that extra time of rest. And during then, surprise, he played great. He looked better than Jalen Polk. He had, I believe, like 2 touchdowns, 5 catches, 100 yards. So, yeah, he was great then. And Rome Odunze, if we're looking back, obviously we know how much of a stud he is. As a Bears fan, I'm extremely happy to have him. Jalen McMillan only had about 50 less receiving yards. McMillan had 2 more receiving touchdowns. And McMillan also had 4 more catches in 2022. So just putting that into perspective, I mean, obviously it's, McMillan is a slot guy. Odunze is the better talent, but I mean, we play a game of stats, so you got to take that into account when you're looking in at least like the third round for like a dart throw, and you're looking for any like small metric or advantage you can.
Yeah, man, I don't disagree with you. Like I like McMillan, and I think the biggest thing that hurts me so freaking much about looking at who went in this round, it's not just the Ben Sinnott pick, but damn it, Eric All going at the 311. I feel like the simulator just decided to kick me in the nuts with this. Like, I was not expecting that to happen. So I was like, we'll just, earmark Eric All. And again, it not being tight end premium, like, I know people are going to, maybe. I feel like Eric All is still being disrespected even now in rookie drafts. And I mean, I can give you my spiel on him, but I'm curious because, again, we haven't talked to any of these rookies. Like, after Bowers and Ben Sinnott, like, do you have anybody else that you're really enamored with in the tight end class? Like, I mean, I know Eric All has been my guy, but do you have any my guys in that class?
Yeah, so I do like All. I kind of started liking him and researching him because of you. I've seen a lot of your tweets on the timeline.
Because I don't shut up about it.
To be totally honest, and he plays for the Bengals, so it's just I don't know. I wasn't really a massive fan of him coming into the draft, but
Hmm.
it's one of those things where you see like, okay, he's on a great team. He's worth a shot. The player I like that, I mean, isn't on a great team, but should have a pretty good situation is Theo Johnson for the Giants. And he
Okay.
tested very well. I mean,
Hmm.
he was coming from Penn State, so we all know they just produce athletic freaks. And yeah, he had a fantastic RAS. I believe it was like 9.97 or
Hmm.
it, very green, which is very translatable for tight ends in fantasy because obviously we don't care about the blocking. We just want them to be able to catch passes and get those receiving yards. But I think if Darren Waller actually retires, and I've been hearing a lot about that happening, it just seems
Yep.
like I don't know. There's nothing indicating that he actually wants to stay with the team. There was like a report during draft week that he did retire, and it's like, okay, it's not official, so I'm kind of penciling in him as retiring, and then Theo Johnson
Hmm.
just has to fight with Daniel Bellinger for that tight end one spot, which I think he can win pretty
Hmm.
easily, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like I like Theo to an extent as far as like can he wrestle the job away from Daniel Bellinger? If you're asking me who would be my pick at this spot at the 312, I'm really surprised that this name has not gone off the board. That Kamani Vidal has not gone off the board. I mean, looking at all of these other guys like Malik Washington sneaking in here, people holding on to their pre-draft ideals on him. My dude Luke McCaffrey getting here, Tez Walker getting in here. I've seen Kamani Vidal like go in the middle to late parts of the third round, which I just feel like is a cheat code. It's a steal, man. And I get he fell to the sixth round of the NFL draft, and we all fall in love with all these day three backs, but is the competition of Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins coming off of not only a torn ACL, but like, look, again, well, he recovered from that, but the torn Achilles, which has really been a coffin nail for basically any running back. I had to learn that lesson the hard way with Cam Akers, but it has been the coffin nail. And so it's kind of like, that's who he's competing with. J.K. Dobbins, who also the Chargers can cut J.K. Dobbins, and they're only on the hook for 50K in dead 50K in dead cap. So they could cut J.K. Dobbins. I'm sorry, Gus is a bus with flat tires. And so what else are we talking about in this backfield? Isaiah freaking Spiller, who hasn't done anything in his NFL career so far. So for me, if you're asking me who I want to pick here, I think it's Kamani Vidal. But do you have anybody else that stands out where you want to push back against them? Like you really are just like, look, we have to draft this guy.
It's honestly okay. I like Kamani Vidal to a certain extent, and personally, the reason I think I'm not as high on him is because I have some not a good reason to hold out hope for J.K. Dobbins. I've been such a big fan. I think he's just so talented. I know all the injuries, and it's like I don't even know if he's going to do anything this year.
When will he learn?
But I don't know. It's just so hard. Like I don't know what to expect with that Chargers backfield. It's worth taking a dart throw. I'm fine with him. I don't love him just because I like
Who do
J.K.
you love?
Dobbins
Who's
a
on the
little
board
more.
right here that you'd love?
I like Ray Davis just
Okay.
based on the situation. I think that James Cook is going to be the guy, but I don't think that the Bills are necessarily in love with him. And what makes me more excited about him is it seems like, they didn't really do much at the wide receiver position. Obviously, they got Keon Coleman, but they don't really have a ton of weapons. It seems like they're trying to be more run heavy. And James Cook just doesn't have the profile to take, 20 touches a game. So I think Ray Davis is going to get work. Also, last season, Cook was great, but he wasn't utilized very heavy in the red zone. And if the Bills are a elite scoring offense and Ray Davis is able to get that, power back goal line work, I think he could have maybe he doesn't have the most upside, but if he's able to get some high value touches down there, I think he could be a solid RB2 plug and play guy on quite a few weeks. But again, he's not a guy I'm in love with. I think just here, him and Vidal, at the running back position when there's nothing left would definitely be my two top
Okay.
guys.
We can go Ray Davis. I mean, maybe we get lucky and Vidal drops into the fourth. We shall see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's press the button on Ray Davis then.
Yeah, I also think there is a chance Vidal falls, which is something I like to take into account when drafting. So I don't think I've seen Ray Davis.
He fell, but not far enough, man.
Well,
So good Lord, Jordan Travis going at the 401. Woo-hoo-hoo.
yeah.
I don't know what some people are looking at with that. That's Wow. And so that's interesting. So Brendan Rice, Kamani Vidal, Braylon Allen, Joe Milton, people still hung up on that. Audric Estime, which honestly, I got to get your Estime take here, man. Like, I like Estime. I've actually kind of come around on him because just the landing spot, Javonte moves on. You can usually get him at the very tail end of the fourth. I've seen him drop into the fifth. I've even picked him up off of waivers in a few leagues. So I'm curious what you think about Estime, but Estime going before Tyrone Tracy. See, this is one of the things I love about using the mock draft simulator, dude. It's like you can get pick insights. And if you're doing this and you sync your league and you upload your league, you'll also be able to see kind of like, it's going to tell you what have my league mates been doing in rookie drafts the last few years. So you can also, you're getting not only just practice against your league, but perfect practice because it's accounting for what your league has possibly done or will do in the upcoming rookie draft. But where do you sit with this, man? Like, Estime's gone, Tracy's gone, JT Sanders, Bucky Irving, Jacob Cowing, freaking Michael Pratt. Woof. Who stands out to you here? Your boy Theo Johnson's still here. Is he going to be the pick, or do you see anybody else looking down the board here that stands out to you?
I like Garendo as well. I think they're pretty close. It's just the situation with him. It's like, is he going to get on the field, and when will he? Because you have McCaffrey, but at the same time, you have such a great head coach where Kyle Shanahan's just able to utilize these guys with amazing skill sets. So I'd probably go. This would really be team dependent. If I feel good at tight end, then I would take Garendo. But if I feel like I'm very back end, like I have like a tight end 10 to tight end 12, I'd probably take the shot. I think they're pretty similar, honestly. I was a big fan of Garendo coming out, so pure prospect, I like Garendo more. But yeah, just for anyone, if you're in the situation, I would definitely base it on team situation when we're getting down here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I lean Garendo as well, and the big thing about Garendo, and I think it's very curious that yes, the 49ers love their day 3 running backs. They love like everybody that's in that backfield room outside of CMC is a day 3 guy. I mean, like, you got Jordan Mason, you got Elijah Mitchell over there, and the thing that stands out to me about Garendo, and the reason I've been drafting him a ton, or trying to, include him in a trade, what have you and stuff, is that Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason are both unrestricted free agents after this year. You legit could be drafting the handcuff to CMC, and we know what that offense looks like. And Garendo, I mean, look, do we have a long sample and a long sample size of him being awesome? Not really. But what he was able to do on a per carry basis in his final season in college was quite impressive, and I wasn't expecting to kind of like him. Like, are his hips a little bit tight and change the directions, can be a problem, sure, but you stick him in outside zone, put his foot in the ground and change directions, one cut and go, he could definitely do that. And the thing that stuck out to me about him in his final season, Steve, was that, like, we're talking about a running back that was 14th in yards after contact per attempt, he was 18th in breakaway run rate, and 10th in yards per route run. So on paper, as well as showing some of the speed and testing like a freak, it's all definitely there, dude. So looking at like him in rookie drafts, I like him a lot. So I'm with you. Let's go ahead and take Garendo here. Any of these other picks like stand out to you?
Jatavion Sanders at the 4.8 is pretty low, no? I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I think the situation where he's going to be that tight end 1 pretty much right off the bat, and they don't have a ton of not really any proven target competition. I think he should be at least in the 3rd round. I would take a dart throw on him.
Yeah, I've seen him go in the 3rd. I've also seen him drop into the 4th. I think it kind of depends on the league because I know I'm lower on him, but even I don't hate him that much. Like, I think you can start making the case for him in the 3rd. I think what also kind of pushed him down a little bit is all these wild swings on like look, I can get on board with Rattler, but the thing about it, like, and I'm curious where you sit on this, is that, like, with even if it being super flex drafts, you get all these quarterbacks that go in the 5th to 7th round. It's like, can we make a narrative in our head if somebody gets hurt, blah, 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 blah? Sure, we can. But how many of these guys do we see actually pan out? And it's not a lot. Like if teams don't put draft capital behind a quarterback, and we're talking like top 2 rounds, really, maybe you go to the 3rd round if like the starter kind of sucks or it's a contract situation, what have you and stuff. But a lot of these later round quarterbacks, like even the Rattlers of the world, like I liked Rattler. I thought Rattler was going to get drafted in the 3rd or 4th round of the NFL draft. I didn't see him dropping to the 5th. That actually kind of surprised me. So like, does he have a shot? Because Derek Carr is not a world beater. He's not amazing. He does have 2 more years of like really good money in his contract. So unless he just totally just blows it apart and sucks, the likelihood of him seeing the field is not high. But I think, like, to your point about JT Sanders, you know, Jordan Travis going here, Rattler going here, Milton also kind of pushed him down the board a little bit. And people can burn picks if they want to on Braylon Allen. I don't understand that with Braylon Allen. Like, them also drafting Isaiah Davis and both those guys being behind Breece Hall. You could tell me your thoughts on Braylon Allen in that situation, but I'm just avoiding both those backs. Like, if Breece Hall stays healthy, there's zeros. And even if Breece Hall goes down, how do you know confidently that you're drafting the guy that's going to be the real handcuff? Like, even if we play it out, Breece Hall goes down from injury, how pissed off would you be if you drafted Braylon Allen and you're like, wow, let's go, baby. And then Isaiah Davis is getting 15 to 20 carries a week. You're like, oh, never mind. Party bus has got a flat tire. Never mind. But what do you think about Braylon Allen versus Isaiah Davis? Are you taking a shot on either one of these guys?
No. I actually liked, just like, I'm talking like the first week of looking into these running backs. I was like, Braylon Allen, this dude is young. He has great stats. He's jacked. Like, this dude's a freak. And I was like, I really just like, once you turn on the tape, it's like, man, this dude kind of sucks, to be honest. Like, he just like, it's like, what am I, like, this is not the player I expected to watch. And like, I just don't, the situation's terrible. The Jets just don't seem like they're a competent organization at the moment. So I just don't understand the pick at all. I'm avoiding both of them completely. I was never a big fan of the prospect profile either. Maybe I could have, sold myself into a narrative about, the upside if he got a good situation. But now it's like not only like not good, it's like terrible. No, I'm all out at this price. Like, I'm not even drafting him, really.
Same. I'm just avoiding it because, again, if Breece stays healthy, they're both zeros. They're day 3 backs anyway. It's not like they pulled Seattle and drafted one of these guys in the 2nd or 3rd round and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, I think the Jets, that more or less, this is just really damning for Israel Abanikanda. I think he is borderline, depending on who you're looking at. I don't have any problems, and maybe I'm just out over my skis here, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have any problem just dropping Israel Bandicanda in Dynasty. Like, he's probably on your taxi squad for most teams, and I think the Jets just told us loud enough what they think about him as being the direct backup. They just went out and drafted Braylon Allen and freaking Isaiah Davis, taking 2 day 3 running backs. So does that really, like, just give you the vote of confidence for Israel Bandicanda? I don't think it does. So I'm with you. I'm just avoiding both these guys, and I don't want to play that headache. Could it burn me if Breece Hall goes down, he gets hurt? Sure. Could it also burn you if you just draft the wrong guy, or if they make it an RBBC and both these guys get work and it doesn't freaking matter? Sure. So, for me, I'm with you. I'm just avoiding both these guys.
I see Drake May at the 110, and I am not a fan of that. Personally, I know you're also
Are you high on May, or are you low on him?
I like May. I'm high on him.
Okay.
One, I don't. Okay. I have him above JJ McCarthy. I know you're a big JJ McCarthy, so I'll let you speak on that.
Steve,
in a second.
I love how you didn't bring that up until I got on this show. Okay, that might have been a kibosh killer about me getting on this show. I llove how you waited. You planted the seed. So tell me why you got Drake May over JJ, and I'm not against it. I think that this quarterback class, everybody's got to pick and choose their flavor. I think the top 4 guys are incredibly talented. And I'm totally open to people ordering these quarterbacks in whatever order they see fit. But why do you like May over JJ? I'm curious.
Now, personally, it's really, for one, I understand that he gets a draft capital, so maybe this doesn't matter as much, but I just want to see more out of him. I know that he wasn't asked to do too much So it's really hard to knock that against him. But at the same time, if I'm taking a quarterback that high and he's a top 10 pick, like I just feel like I need to be able to see him actually make plays and throws on a consistent down to down basis. Also, I felt just like when I was watching, he had a good game against Ohio State, but I never felt like there was a time where he was just carrying Michigan on his back. And I understand, obviously, they were amazing, 13-0. Blake Corum, great running back. I just felt like at some point, if he is like really that good, he would have at least had, one game where they just completely leaned on him. But it didn't happen. I just don't love it. Also, rushing upside is, something I like to take into account. I think May just projects very well as a runner, so that's really all my knocks against McCarthy. I think he just has a ton of upside. I really like him. I know people are going to make, the quick comparison to Josh Allen, but really he has just a much higher ceiling than JJ at that point. And I think that when you take his rushing upside into account, he's a very underrated runner. He was one of the best runners in the class. I believe he had like 700 yards in the past few seasons. So he is great at that. But I'm just not – if I'm taking a quarterback that high, I just would like to see more out of JJ. And I think Drake, even though he didn't play – he played ACC, he didn't have great weapons. So I also am taking that into account on his production.
I will push back mildly that – I think JJ is going to show us more rushing upside in the NFL and KOC's offense than we ever saw at Michigan. I think he's a very, very underrated rusher of the football, and I think that will be unlocked. I mean, we saw that with Josh Dobbs. We didn't see that in Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins is a statue. You didn't see that with Nick Mullins because, asking Nick Mullins to run is an adventure. Asking Nick Mullins to even play quarterback at a competent level is also an adventure. Not necessarily one that you want to spin the dial and go on, but in that last season, that's where the Vikings were. But with JJ, I do think that there's unlocked potential, or at least untapped potential, I should say, as far as his rushing upside, because for a player that was clocked, or at least rumored, because he didn't run the 40 at the combine, so again, we don't know, but plenty of rumors of him getting clocked over 20 miles an hour in practice, running 4.4s, 4.5s, theoretically or supposedly. But I think the one thing that is telling that we did get from the combine was J.J. McCarthy running the 6th fastest 3-cone out of anybody at the combine. Anybody. And we're talking about every single skill player, cornerbacks, everybody. So I think that there are certain parts to pieces where I think we are going to get more rushing from JJ in the NFL than we ever got in college. But I get the points on May. And look, big arm, he's got talent. Again, I like the top 4 guys in this class. People label me as a Caleb Williams hater. I'm not a Caleb Williams hater. But I think that this quarterback class, along with this second tier of wide receivers of this class, both of them are it really comes down to, for me, with all of those guys, it's a choose your own adventure. Go ahead. Pick your guy. Pick the guy. Pick your flavor of sauce that you want, and I'm totally down with that, man.
Well, that's going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for coming on, D-Bro. It was a blast running these 2 mock drafts with you. If you just want to plug your stuff, I'll give you the floor right now. But again, it was a pleasure drafting with you, man.
Oh, Steve, it was good times, man. I love drafting with you. Love talking to all these prospects, dude. Yeah, all my stuff is over at Fantasy Pros. I'm on make stops by the Dynasty show. Thor and I, again, if you're playing catch up for your rookie drafts, if they have not happened, you need to go check out the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show. Thor and I have run through all the things through this class. I mean, we just did 2.5 hours yesterday. They're cut up into 2 episodes on every single UDFA class. So not only do we hit all the positions and tell you the guys we like, and we went through our sleepers and our my guys and all the other parts and pieces of this draft cycle, we also hit all the UDFAs, players you need to be picking up and you could stash on your Dynasty Taxi squads. So go check that out, as well as all my positional primers are all live on the site. I went through and I just finished updating this last week. I have full write-ups on the site for over 70 plus skill players, full profiles, and Dynasty Outlook. So it's not just the top end of guys in this class. I went through UDFAs and everything else. And now, since we got all of this in the rear view and it's all Dynasty and stuff, I'm starting to dive into all the redraft stuff. I'm diving into best ball. Our redraft kit will be live soon, so stay tuned for that. But it's all things and stuff over Fantasy Pros. And Steve, man, Well, look, this was worth the wait, man. Definitely an awesome time getting to talk ball with you, and I appreciate it, man. We got to do this again soon.